Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon, and today on Partner Talks, I have Eddie Bader. Eddie, introduce yourself, tell the people who you are and what you do.
Well, it's great to be here with you, Rick. And thanks for having me on. Eddie Bader. I am a co-founder of RYZE Partners, and that's a consulting firm that helps Microsoft partners make more with Microsoft and really enable their partnership. I'm also international president of the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, which is a mouthful. We call it IAMCP for short. And that group of partners, it's a global community. And what it does, it looks to help partners do better with Microsoft, make connections with other partners around the world, build better solutions, and really deliver on the Microsoft promise of helping everyone achieve more.
And before we jump into IAMCP, I want to talk a little bit more about your history. How did you get to where you are? And let's talk a little bit about your company today.
Yeah, so I have been in the ecosystem 15 plus years and started with an MSP, moved to another MSP with a security focus, and then I also worked for another modern work partner before, and currently I do some fractional work for a data and analytics company, but my main focus is RYZE Partners, which I spoke about earlier, and we deliver. We help partners drink from the fire hose of what it is to be a Microsoft partner at times. So really trying to make sure that partners understand what they need to know. There's a lot of information out there, and helping them sift through it and understand what's right for them versus do everything kind of approach. And we just launched that company in June, so really excited.
And I think you're in the right place at the right time. As Microsoft starts to merge us all into becoming this cloud partner vision. We've got a lot of my people who are the BizApps partners coming to your side of modern work, security, Azure, and we've got a lot of folks on your side coming into BizApps, especially the ones getting involved with the Copilots and the agents and those things. So you're at the right place at the right time. So let's talk a little bit about IAMCP and,
Sure.
Maybe a bit of a history. How did they, what they represent. I know you have an international group, which you're in charge of. And then there's local chapters. So kind of give us the overview of what's going on with the group.
Yeah, well, as of this month, we're celebrating 31 years of being an association, so that's pretty awesome. So happy birthday to the association. And then we're broken up into the three major regions, so Americas, APAC, and EMEA. And then from there are chapters within those regions, and there's a little bit of a nuance. So in the Americas, a chapter would look like Seattle or New York City. In EMEA, a chapter would look like Germany or the UK or France. So it's a little bit different, geography is a little different, but it works in both scenarios. Germany happens to be our largest chapter globally, 450 plus members strong, and they have a great relationship with the local Microsoft team.
Okay, excellent. So how many members overall?
Overall, we have over 5,000 members from approaching 2,000 partners. So there's some, multiple partners from different organizations. That's kind of where we stand right now. And EMEA being the largest, they represent the largest group of partners that we have.
Okay, excellent. So let's talk a little bit of, what are some of the challenges you're seeing going forward in this world of AI that your members are facing?
Well, I think it's not a new thing in terms of the technology is moving so quickly, right? And we're all getting pushed to adopt it and use it and build solutions around it. And there's some skilling involved, right? And it's not just learning. I think we've found out, and companies all over the world have found out a little bit the hard way, that it's not just learning the AI technology, but it's preparing the environment to land the technology in. If you don't have your data governance and your security in place, implementing AI can be problematic, to say the least. So I think that's one thing. And then just the continuous improvement. This is one of those things where the technology is changing so rapidly partners are going to have to keep on their skilling initiatives to stay in front of it, to make sure that we know that we stay ahead of the knowledge base of our clients. Because part of being in business is to help people get someplace faster than they can get alone, right? So we have to stay at the forefront. We have to be learning things and understanding what this technology can do, how to do it, and how best to implement it.
And I know Microsoft uses the term frontier partner, right? For those partners that are picking up on AI, picking up on agents and copilots and starting to use it in their own businesses. What are you hearing about that and feedback from your members?
Yeah, I think depending on the size of the partner that you're talking about, the adoption rates vary, right? So you have large partners like Accenture and Avanade and those types of, GSIs. I think they have the resources to make those changes very quickly. On the smaller partner side, they are trying to adopt the technology and continue to service their clients. And so there's a balance between that, right? And I think that's one of the biggest struggles, right? There's the want, and then there's the ability. So I think partners want to become frontier, they want to use this, and then the ability in terms of resources and skilling and things like that. The adoption may be a little bit slower for some of the smaller partners, but they are trying.
And I'm working with some partners right now where we're doing, being a CRM MVP, my passion is Salesforce automation, and we're building a lot of agents and working in that. We're learning a lot about how these agents work, how to interface with them. So I think the end of this year is going to be really get your ducks in a row with agents, and I think we can make a big push on them in the new year.
Yeah, I agree. I would encourage all partners to treat it like a sandbox, right? Get in there and play and make you don't have to launch rockets, right? You can just try and solve simple problems for yourselves, recurring things that you do all the time that it would be great if there was an agent to take care of that kind of thing for you. But if we don't start playing, if we don't see what's possible, then we don't start getting into more of the technical stuff, maybe more of the bigger problems to solve down the road. And we also start learning about how we have to protect the environment and what we need to do to prepare it and things like that. So I'm a big fan of, I think I look at technology in general as there's what it is and there's what it can be. And there's no bigger example of that than AI and agents and all the things we're dealing with right now.
So, we're in 2025 today, and 2030 is just around the corner. So what's the 5-year vision for IAMCP?
It's a great question. I think where we need to evolve a little bit, we're looking to bring on more platforms that help our partners connect. I think that's a big deal, especially when you're building a channel, when you're trying to go to market with one another or find that right partner. There are, if we are listening to what Microsoft's telling us, maybe over 550,000 partners globally. You're not going to do business with all of them. You got to find the right ones. And so we're looking at incorporating some platforms that leverage AI to do some matchmaking and say, hey, Rick, looks like Eddie might be a good match for you. About 82% chance that there's a great fit that you guys can do business with you. So it'll send you a report and it'll tell you, hey, these are why we think you align. These are some starting questions to get out of the gate. And it sends me the same thing about you. And it's really to get to that yes and to get to that traction in as little time as possible. So the tools are going to change, right? The tools are going to get better. They're going to adapt. And we want to stay in front of that. I think the vision for us is to continue to figure out what the partners need before they need it, right? Trying to understand where this ecosystem is going. It doesn't always happen because there's programmatic changes on the Microsoft side, so some of it will be a little bit reactive, but trying to make sure that we get partners the information as quickly as possible and make sure that it's relevant. And then I think the last thing is we have to adapt our business model to conform to how the new generations coming into the ecosystem communicate, engage, and they do things differently than some of the older generations. And that's not bad. It's just how do we make sure that we have, kind of like Disneyland, we have something for everybody, right? And you choose your own experience, but it's all there for you. And so our days may look different and we might engage differently, but we all leave having a great time, right? And getting what we wanted out of that day.
Perfect. And you've got a relationship going, a new one with MSDynamicsWorld, and we both do some business with them. So let's talk a little bit about that relationship and how do you see it sort of moving forward with them?
Yeah, so Adam and Jason are awesome. We are in the early stages of developing what that relationship looks like, but they've got a huge community, very dynamic, and they're producing a lot of content all the time. And candidly, IAMCP as an organization, I think we fall short in terms of supplying good content for the Dynamics community. So this was an effort to bring that in without having to develop it ourselves. I think one of the things we look at IAMCP is we don't have to own everything. We don't have to build everything ourselves. If somebody's doing a good job, let's just connect to that and merge these groups together. It's all about, I think their community is over 100,000 strong, and then about 30K of that are other partners. So adding that to our community makes us huge, right? There's a lot of opportunity there. I think what you mentioned earlier, where Dynamics and modern work / security are kind of being put in the fold together. And I'll be honest, they should have been in the fold together a long time ago. But
I agree. Yes.
Those things, you got to protect some of the company's most secure, most important data and critical data. But because that's being pushed on us from the programmatic side of things, the ecosystem, I think it's a great opportunity for us to get ahead of that. We're providing partnering content and how to build channels and some content that they don't have natively. And in turn, we're sharing their Dynamics content and Power Platform content with our community. I think it's a great relationship, and it's just getting started. So where it is now is going to be different than where it is 6 months from now. And working with Jason and Adam, we're going to chart that course.
Okay, Eddie, I want to thank you for your time today, telling us about IAMCP and the direction of where you're going and what you can do for partners. So I'm sure we'll be back to you at some point to get an update on things, but thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Rick. I've appreciated being here with you.
Have a great day and bye for now.